been together 20 years. So 22 years. I don't know. We've been together a long time. But so she, I mean, you know, it just is what it is. So, but everything is meaningful. So
Each painting has a story.
each painting has a story. It came from somewhere. I don't think I've ever gotten anything from, you know, a traditional place where you'd go by, oh, I need to put some.
Hi, Sock Tulsa here for our little ball of mud. Welcome, and I hope you're watching our shows and, you know, pushing the little button so that you're getting notified every time there's a new show. Today, we happen to be with a very, very special person that is a real estate agent, a volunteer for the Sheriff's Department. She's involved in rescue operations here in the Valley, and her name is Rae Howard, and I am so happy to be here with you
Thank
today.
you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for asking me.
We asked Leslie because her activities in the community are indicative of what Phoenix is about, which is rebirth and being supportive of everybody. We're all here, you know, to help each other, not only survive but flourish in the concept of the Phoenix bird. So Leslie, I'm going to turn this over to you. We spent some time in your living room, you know, before we started the show, and we got to meet your kitty cats.
Yes, yes, all four of them.
All four of them.
They seem to like you well enough, so that was a good sign.
They didn't run away screaming.
They didn't. They're a little particular, so that was very positive.
So your time here as a real estate agent didn't just drop on you. How did you get into that in the first place? I mean...
Ooh, okay. Yeah. So I've been a full-time real estate agent, been very blessed for 23 years. They have been rewarding, heartbreaking, difficult, sometimes just easier than I could even imagine. And just a really interesting evolution, because when I started my real estate career, I was, you know, sort of late bloomer. I was in my late 30s. I'm 60 years old, hanging in there, and so I was late in getting into that career. Prior to that, I waitressed like my whole life. I was a bartender, I waitressed, always liked the public, I liked to serve. You know, I'd been harassed unmercifully by my father that it was not a very respectable way to make a living, but I enjoyed it, and I got up every day and I did it, and I loved the people, and I was good at it. So fast forward to real estate, it just seemed like a natural sort of progression for me, because I still got to see and meet different people. I got to help them. When I started out in real estate, I did a lot of first-time home buyers. You know, the cute little families, the little young families that just wanted a place to have their dog and their kids.
And their picket fence.
And their picket fence, right? The American dream. So I had a mentor who was horribly tough on me. Cracked the whip.
Did this mentor was instrumental in getting you started into the field?
She was.
Oh.
She was. I don't recommend this process to anybody, but back then it might have been exactly what I needed because real estate's very competitive, and it was 20-something years ago when I started, and I feel like she did exactly what I needed, even if I didn't like it or know it or understand why she was so crazy in saying, call these people right now. You know, just absolutely, there's no time to waste. Her big motto was, in real estate, you treat it like it's an emergency, because it is.
Oh.
I know.
Interesting concept.
Right? So I guess I internalized that and related it to in waitressing when you're working in a fast and furious pace.
That's an emergency.
It's an emergency. So I kind of naturally understood it on that level, and I just fell into it and I'm okay, I got to do this right now, right now, right now. And so it really paid off. And I stuck with that mentor for 5 years. And I feel like her name was Barbara. I feel like she taught me a lot about the business and just being able to handle different situations, because no two situations are the same. No two people, families, what their needs are, how you go about meeting those needs are the same. So anyway.
So somebody watching this out here that is maybe thinking about getting a house and something like this, what would be your first advice for them?
You got to be tough.
Okay.
I mean, this is such a different market than what I grew up in, so to speak, in real estate. We've evolved into a very tight market to where you can't just go, oh, you can't just wake up and go, I'd like to buy a house today, I'll get pre-qualified and get a real estate agent to help me, and off we go. The market is extremely competitive. There is no inventory like a normal market would have, and when I say inventory, I'm referring to how many homes are on the market at this time. So it's just a really tumultuous time if you're a home buyer to run out and try and buy a house. I would say, stay positive, have all your ducks in a row, be fast, be first, be fearless, and get a good real estate agent that you can relate to and talk to openly, because you're going to have moments where this feels very frustrating, and you're going to have moments where you feel like, I can't do this, but, we have to keep buying houses. You want a place for your family to live. Maybe you're upsizing, downsizing, going through a divorce. All of a sudden there's a child on the way. There's so many different reasons, to want to run out and buy a house. Oh, and you're making great money all of a sudden. Now we can afford a house. So, but just hang in there. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's so worth it.
You were talking about some of the things way back in your life that were, instrumental in like sending you off into this direction. Could you give us a little indicator of what that was like?
I can go there a little bit.
Yeah.
I can.
Don't hurt yourself.
No. I'm a firm believer that your path in life is not always a perfect, pretty path. And all of us have different reasons why we are the way we are and what make us the way we are today. Sitting here at 60 years old, if I looked back and I never would have come to this conclusion that I'd be sitting here even alive. I don't mean to sound dramatic,
No,
but
no, no,
but
no,
it's
I
true.
know.
When I was growing up in my early 20s and even into my early 30s, I struggled with drugs and alcohol. I struggled hard. I wasn't your occasional pot smoker, partier. I was pretty much
You were a real searcher, weren't you?
I was. I was. So
I'm gonna find out what this is
I did.
about.
I did it. I
Yeah.
really did. I struggled for years, and I did a lot of hard drugs. I was in and out of rehab. You know, there were times when I really didn't think I was going to pull out of it. I didn't really have any big desire to. You know, I don't think we ever wake up going, oh, I'm going to be a drug addict and that's going to be my
Sure.
life. And, you know, but by the grace of God and a lot of people that love me, I did get through it. There's a lot of ugly attached to that, and
Sure.
people don't want to hear that. I think most of the people that I know now have absolutely zero idea because I'm so removed from it. I remember it. I lived it. I got through it. But I don't share that. And I don't share that because I don't know that it's always necessary to share that. But sometimes I think, especially in this day and age where people are so caught up with this Instagram and the Facebook and all the other social media platforms where everybody is so perfect and their life is so perfect. It's like, it's bullshit. Like, you know what goes on behind closed doors? They had a past, they had a life, they had heartbreak and hardships, and maybe they're not so proud of some of their behaviors, but what's portrayed to our younger people, I think, and even not so young, is no, you have to be some kind of influencer. You have to be super funny. You have to be super perfect. You can't be overweight. You can't be underweight. You can't have problems.
And you have to be on TikTok.
And you have to be a good dancer on TikTok. And it's not
No,
real.
you're right. Yeah, yeah.
And I think it clouds a lot of our younger generation. I think they get really depressed over it. I know that I've got some family members that it affects, and it's a very tough image to live up to. You know, we're not all the Kardashians or whoever else you're trying to live up to. So I think it's important to go, hey, this did happen to me. It wasn't pretty, but I got through it, and you can come out on the other side. And guess what? Your life's still not going to be perfect, but it's going to be a lot more manageable because when you take out the drug addiction and the alcohol, it's not as hard to function through your life and to make sense of how things in your heart should be and feel. It's not as hard because when you're drinking and drugging, it's really hard, you know, it's super hard. So I just feel like for that reason I'm okay being transparent because I lived it. Yes, it was a huge chunk of my life, but I didn't stay there, and I'm really glad because so many people do stay there and they don't make it. And you know, maybe it's your mom or your sister or your dad or whoever it is, and they die and they miss so much of your life, and you know, they're gone. So, you know, I think it's just the people you leave behind, sort of the wreckage you leave, and it's just sad, and I don't want to do that to anybody.
Right, right.
I don't think I wanted to do that then, but I really don't want to do that now.
So do you want to inspire other folks to get into the same field that you're in? Is it one that you think come on in because we'll appreciate your creativity and stuff, or you?
It's funny you said that because I do feel like so many people that have had issues in the past with drugs and alcohol are super creative. They're super smart people. I think they're almost too smart sometimes. Not saying that. Well, maybe a little bit,
Mhm.
but I don't know. And I'm going to be honest. This field that I'm in now today, I don't know that I would wish it on anybody just at this particular moment, just because it's such a tough market. Um, if you do get into this field that I'm in, I would definitely recommend getting a mentor, getting, you know, getting with a company that offers you just a lot of support, because it's just not something in real estate school that you can just go to real estate school and come out and, hey, people think, oh, that's sexy, it's glamorous, you make a lot of money, you're driving around in a Lexus, and you're just, well, I have a Lexus, but it took me 20 years to get one, and just to be able to pay
You're
cash for
allowed.
it. Right.
You're allowed.
Right, but I mean, it's not. It's really, really hard work. You have to know how to market yourself and
Be available.
be available and listen to people. You know, that's so important today. You just have to listen. Just listen to what your buyers or sellers are telling you, and really just tune into their situation and act accordingly and be sensitive to their needs. When I moved up here to be close to my mother, and when I say up here, I mean Peoria, I live in a retirement community with my spouse. I I've been up here the last 5, 6 years. We got into a situation where there's retirement communities all around us, and I'd never worked with the retirees before. So I went and put myself through a program so that I could learn to understand what the needs of retirees are. I thought it was super important because the older generation is a different animal than going out selling to regular families or first-time home buyers, and they require different care and more specialized. And you could really harm someone if you're not understanding,
Sensitive to their needs.
Exactly, because in these situations, especially in Sun City, you know, people pass away, their kids inherit the house. What do we do with this? How are we supposed to handle this? Is it a situation where they're going through probate, or you need to understand what the will says and who actually owns the house, and so many different scenarios.
Wow.
And then maybe it's 3 kids that own it together, and they don't know what to do. Everybody's got to be on the same page, and so. But I'm very protective towards our older population because not only am I getting older, but my mother, who just recently passed away, was always getting scammed. She'd have people call her all the time or trying to, scammers would target her because of her age. And she was vulnerable, and it scared her. And it used to really make me mad. How many times did she call me, Leslie, I've won $100 million, and they're coming tomorrow to pay me. I just have to write a check for $900 so I could pay something. Anyway, this is a small example. So the longer I was taking care of my mother and listening to this and tuning into it, the more angry it made me that people would just, how can you target old people? My God, that's just like, didn't you have a mother and a grandparent and aunts, uncles that, anyway.
Let God figure it out. That's their
right?
consciousness.
I know, but still, if there's some small thing I can do while serving this community to help them not be a victim of something, I will. And that's probably why I started volunteering. And it's not the sheriff's posse. I have to let you know. It's just they used to be connected to the posse, or the sheriff's posse.
Okay.
But now it's just the posse. You got the Sun City posse, Sun City West, you have Westbrook where I volunteer, and it's still kind of like in the same vein.
Okay.
You know,
And
I
it's
do-
particular to this area and everything.
right.
So,
It,
okay.
it is. So, but it's important because, again, you're looking after the older folks, which I'm now an older folk. I have to keep wrapping my brain around that. You know, you want to look in the mirror and see your 30-year-old self, and there's your mother looking back at you. It's like, Mom, how did you get in there? What's going on? But it's true. Excuse me. So,
I know.
I
That's why I
mean-
have a beard, because I don't want to look like my mom.
I'm sure your mom was a beautiful
Oh,
woman.
she was a gorgeous woman.
I bet
Gorgeous,
she
gorgeous
was.
woman, yeah. That's fun. That's fun. What great intuitive things that you were blessed to have to take you through this this time in your life where it's important that, you know, people are coming for you because of what you've been willing to learn. Kudos.
Thank you.
It's really great, you know.
I appreciate
Because you don't
that.
hear many people talk like that about the elderly people. And
Oh,
they're the root and foundation of our community here.
they are, and just touching on that for one more second, because the reality is, you know, we're sitting here, we're in our 60s, 70s, 80s. How much life have we lived? How much wisdom do we have? And I've got a 20-year-old nephew that thinks I am dumb as dirt. I don't know anything because I don't know who these people are on his, whatever it is he's into. But it's not just him. I'm not just picking on him. It's just in general, I don't think that our younger generation understands that the older generation, even though it's not the same people, it's the same situations. Just fast forward, you know, into their lives, and they don't give us the credit of understanding, and that understanding only comes with living through different relationships, different scenarios, different situations. You don't get that and get to know everything when you're 20, 25 years old. And we still don't know everything, obviously, but I wish they would be a little bit more in tune with our elderly population and appreciate them more, because our elderly population, I used to go visit my mom, you know, when she was in the nursing home, the last 11 months of her life. You know, we couldn't take care of her anymore, so we had to let hospice do it. And I would go to the nursing home and I'd visit with my mom and all her friends. And a lot of them had dementia and were not, you know, able to communicate that well. But boy, you sit and listen to them and give them time and sit and talk to them, and their history is incredible. You know, what they've lived through is just incredible. And I don't think they get the time they deserve at all, or the understanding that they deserve. It's so anyway. That's reeling it back
You're
in.
taking me back yesterday on St. Patty's Day. We got in conversation, and somebody was saying something about the Second World War, and so I told him when I was born, which is 1940, and took him through all of the beginning of the war and everything. Because we know all that stuff. It's part of our memory.
And right, and
Yeah.
I don't know anything about living through the war in that capacity, but wow, if you are sitting here telling me you've lived through that, how amazing is that? Like, you'll never fathom what that's like. You know, so Hey, you're pretty smoking for, let's see, 1940, 50, 60, 70.
81.
81! Oh my God! I never would have guessed that. He's smoking, right? Sorry.
Well, thank you.
Sorry.
That's very kind. I have something for you.
Oh,
It is one of our shirts. Our little ball of mud.
oh my
And I
gosh, that's
signed it.
lovely.
Love sought
Thank you.
and the date,
Thank you.
and that's for you.
I love it. I will wear this with pride. I absolutely love it. Thank you.
And I can't thank you enough for
Oh,
being
thank
on
you.
our show. And if you know any other persons on the planet that would like to have some time in the cloud,
Okay.
let
Well,
us know.
I appreciate it. I think it's great what you do, and you and your lovely wife Maggie, and
Yeah.
I think it's great. Yeah, thank you
Okay.
so much.
All right, thank you, and thank you folks for tuning in, and watch all the rest of our shows. Be sure and subscribe. That's the most important thing, so that maybe someday we'll make some money out of this thing. Love you. Come back again.
Bye.
Bye.